welcome to another episode here at DeepMind Security. Today I want to go over basic commands and the file structure of a Linux file system. So for starters, I've got an Ubuntu system here. We're just going to go take a look at what the file system looks like on a general Linux system. So if you go to your computer, and pretty much every Linux file system is going to have very, very similar, if not exactly the same folders. You've always got an etc folder, a sys folder, a temp folder, user, mount, media, lib folders. You're gonna have a bin folder and a var, and then there might boot, and there might be a couple of other ones depending on what you have installed and what you're running. And these might somewhat vary, but generally they're always the same. And each one stores something completely different. For example, in the var, you'll generally get your logs. So you'll see there's some different things for like logs and stuff like that in here, and just tons and tons of log files, because that's what it stores. Etc, this is going to be more of your program and config files, more so on config than anything else. But this is where, for example, your cron jobs are going to be stored. If you don't know what cron is, ask me to do a video on it. And just different things with logs, config files and comp files, and so these are all different kinds of configuration files for the programs and the applications that run on a Linux box. Your bin, this is what's going to actually contain most of your programs or your couple of different daemons and stuff. So you're going to know that you'll recognize that some of these things are actually commands that you can run from a console to do different things, like change different information about your actual files, or if you wanted to, there's a couple of different kinds of ways to archive and group files together or compress them. And other utilities in here. Boot, this is generally containing files necessary to actually boot. You'll notice this is where the memtest 86 plus is stored, which most systems have it. And this is also where most distributions will store the kernel. Grub is actually a bootloader, so this is going to be like your bootloader type stuff. So devices, or dev, these are devices. So these are actually pointers to devices. These aren't actually the devices themselves generally. And then we've got your actual mount. So this is generally something that's mounted. Media, this is just going to be, once again, more pointers to stuff. So this is just then user. These are going to be your different user files. So this is going to vary from system to system and whatnot, but generally your configuration files are always in etc, and your log files are always in var, and those are probably two that I use the most. I guess home's like your own home files. But then I want to go over some basic stuff inside a terminal. So depending on what you're using, xterm, you can use that as a terminal. I just generally use the terminal straight up. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. So a couple of commands to start off. ls, this is just list everything in your, and I'm going to post this down below. This is like list everything in the current folder. pwd, this is print working directory. So this is going to show you what directory we're currently, which is in home administrator. So it's the same as going, okay, so cd is change directory. So if I wanted to change into music, then we could go change to music. Might want to capitalize that. And then now I'm in music. So to change back to your home directory, we can go change directory to /home/administrator. Or if I'm in music, I can just type cd for change directory. That'll change me there. Or if I'm in music, I can change directory to the little tilde thing. Because you see this little tilde thing? That signifies your home folder. So as a couple ways to get back to your own home folder, you can change directory to just a /. This changes you to the root of the file system. So if I go ls to list files here, this is just going to list off everything. So you're going to see everything we saw earlier. We've got our bin, boot, etc, lib, media, root. This is going to be root's home folder. user var, etc. And so pretty much, this is going to give you some different things. Another couple of useful commands that you can use is sudo. So this allows you to use root privileges to do something. So if I, for example, maybe we should go over a couple of text editors. That's always useful. So if we let's go into Etsy. Let's say we want to edit some config files. So here's every single file in here. We might not know what everything is, so we can go ls, and if we go -l, this is going to list a little bit more information on them. And if we go ls-f, this is actually going to force it to show me everything in here. So if we want to see all the information about everything, we can actually combine these two together. This is probably my most commonly used listing method of listing stuff. And it'll generally, so depending on what the color of the item is, it might change depending on whether it's a directory or an executable or whatever that might be. So let's say, for example, in my SSH, I wanted to change some how I used SSH. So let's cd into my SSH folder here. And you're going to notice we've got some different config files. The one I probably want is SSH config. So let's get some more information about that. So if I run ls-lf, we're going to see ssh.config here. If you want an in-depth analysis of what these are, so pretty much we've got, this is directory permissions, and then this right here is user and group that these are the owners of the file. So we've got user and group. We'll sometimes have a timestamp right over here, and then this is the file size. And then I'm not going to get super into what some of the other stuff is or whatnot. If you want a more in-depth video into how file permissions work or something, let me know in the comments below. But this is pretty much the basics of ls-lf right there to show you a bit of stuff. So there's a couple of different utilities that you can use for accessing and showing data. So cat, this is useful for displaying stuff to the screen, so we can, or outputting it, so we can go cat, and then I can go ssh_config, and so here's the contents of that file. Now maybe I didn't want the entire thing. We can actually pipe, so if I go ls or cat ssh_config, and then I can pipe. That's what this little up and down thingy right here is, and this is generally above to the right hand side of your enter key on your keyboard. Pipe it to something like more or less, and these are going to do different things. So if I do more, for example, here I can go down and I can hit the enter button until I get to the bottom of it. If I pipe it, oh, okay, so up and down arrows on your keyboard, you can move between previous commands. Makes life easier. More and then less, what this is going to do, I can go down until I hit the end, then I have to press Q. And this will generally let you do a little bit more. They'll do different things like taking up the whole page. There's some different features. I'm not going to get super in-depth into them right now. We can also edit them with a file editor. And there's a couple different file editors. Sometimes you'll have VI. We're not going to use this right now. And then you sometimes have Vim, which is actually VI extended or enhanced. And then we can also have Nano. This is generally on most distributions. And then you'll have emacs sometimes, and that's another one that you can install yourself. A lot of people like emacs. I prefer Vim. VI's all right. Nano's not that great. It's useful though. There's a couple of other random little program file or text editors that you can use that work pretty good too. So it depends on what you're using. Each one has a different syntax and how you use them. If you want a video on text editors, let me know. But a couple more commands I want to go over before the end of the day. So we can use this to edit files. So I can go, sometimes you might need to sudo, back to the command I was going to show you earlier. This allows you to have root privileges. So if you don't have privileges to access a file, like maybe this ssh.conf or this ssh configuration file, I can go sudo, and then I can do vi, and then this ssh conf file config file, and then it'll ask me for my password. And I typed it wrong. You can actually backspace inside this thing. That's super useful to know as well. Make sure you go back far enough. And then, so now I can go in here and I can edit it and insert stuff and not insert stuff. And I can quit without actually modifying anything. So that's another thing that's super useful to do. Another really important thing in Linux is our info and man pages, because these tools are going to allow you to teach yourself more about how Linux works. So let's say I wanted to know more about less. What is less all about? I can go. I can actually type in more. We can go info less and look up the command, and this is going to give us tons of different info here. And we can actually go down through this one at a time. So you can see here, I'm kind of scrolling down here, and we can go down one page at a time. And it's just going to have all the different commands and everything you can do with less. So there you can see there's tons of stuff that you can learn here. We're going to go ahead and quit out of that. We can also do info more. You know, it's going to give us similar information, only it's on more. So we can go ahead and quit out of here. And then we can go also man. So man pages, like info, it's just another way of displaying help text. We can go more, man, less, and get similar stuff. You'll notice instead of going down one line at a time, this is actually just automatically scrolling a line at a time. Once again, Q to quit. We can also go man less, or if we did that, man more, and we can go down through stuff just to get more details on that. So I just quickly wanted to go over a couple of these things. Another really thing that's useful that you can pipe stuff to is grep. This allows you to search for things. So if we go ls here, and I only wanted things, maybe the stuff that said config in it, I could go ls, and then I could pipe that to grep, and then I'd say I want ssh. So here's everything that's in ssh, or everything that has conf in it. And you can actually do this with output of files. So if we go back to cat, to output ssh config to our screen here, we can actually do that and pipe it to grep. And let's just say I wanted everything about tunneling. I can go tunnel, and that's not going to display anything because it's actually case sensitive. There's a way to modify that. I'm not going to go into that right now. So if I do tunnel again, so we're not allowing devices because it's actually commented out. So that's a really useful tool as well. Another thing that's good is who am I? This will tell you what username you're running as. So right here, I'm obviously the administrator. We can do another couple of things to figure more information out, like host name. This is useful when you're SSHing into a bunch of different computers and not sure which computer you're working on. Host name will tell you the name of the host you're working on. In this case, I just left it at the default of Ubuntu. So that's super useful as well. There's other utilities. I'm just going to cover really quick. I'm not going to get super in depth, but netstat, this will display all your network connections that are currently running or have been running. ifconfig, this is like ipconfig in Windows. It'll display your current MAC address, IP configuration, whether it be IPv4 or IPv6, and some other stuff. Top, this is more of a command line program that'll actually display the current running processes on your system, and then you can specify commands to kill them or find or search through them and stuff like that. Q to quit. And so that's just a couple of the different basic functions that I just wanted to kind of introduce you guys to. For those of you who aren't super familiar with a Linux-based operating system, these are some of the most used commands out there. I guess I should probably cover a couple more things real quick. So CP is to copy and MV is to move. So I'm going to go back to my home directory. So let's say I create a new text file, and I'm going to call it hello. It's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and quit and save that. So now you're going to see I've got this hello right there. So I'm going to copy hello into hello2. If we go ls, there's a copy of hello2. I can also move. I'm actually going to go into music, and I'm going to copy. So .. is going up a directory. You can actually do cd .. to go up a directory as well. You notice we're in this directory now. So cd music, and then I'm going to copy in the file directory above me that hello2 file, and we're going to copy that to right here, which is what the dot is for. So now you're going to see that it copied. Turn caps lock off. So it copied RM to remove it. Hello2. It's not there anymore. Now we're going to move it from hello2 up above in the directory above. Got to specify the destination of dot. You can specify the destination in terms of a path, and so you can do a dot dot to specify similarly to a relative path, or you can actually specify a directory from the root directory on your file system. However, you're going to notice that it's back here again, and if I go up, you're going to notice hello2 is now gone. So really quick, I just want to cover some of these things. Hopefully I didn't take too long. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.